So we've got 6 people down in Bristol who just continuously support our customers. That could be through bespoke schemes that I just mentioned there.
Yeah, lovely.
But also on hand to answer sort of, technical or queries with some of the products on installation that electrical contractors might need support from.
Magic.
So they're there all, constantly. Just solely their purpose in life is just to support CEF, support their customers, and really help service our product through to our customer base.
Hello and welcome to one of our, I'm going to say award-winning. It's not, but I'm just going to say it.
It will be, won't it?
It's bound to be. This is
then you're just
bound to
predicting
be.
the future, that's all you're saying.
This is another fantastic CEF Tech Talking podcast. This time it's fantastic because we've got Adam.
It's hot stuff today.
We've got some hot topics
hot
to talk about today.
today.
It's heating up in here now, isn't it?
Fantastic. Very good.
You like that? You see what we did there, Adam?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's not just
Subtle,
thrown together.
subtle, aren't we?
Thank
We're
God.
subtle.
It took weeks to write this script.
Adam joins us today from Heatstore. Now, Heatstore help provide a lot of the solutions into CEF, which come into.
I bet it's to do with heat.
You're absolutely bang on, as always, Dave.
Yeah.
Absolutely razor sharp, aren't you, mate?
So what do you actually do, Adam? What's
Right, so I'm the divisional manager for Heatstore. So as you know, us as a business, we're CS in-house electric heating supplier and company. I'm the divisional manager there, so run the day-to-day operation, look at the new products. And yeah, start with the company, crikey, dare I say it, back in 1999. And I'm still there today. So divisional manager and help support and sell.
And what's the
CEF.
brief? What's the portfolio of Heatstore, just so we get it?
So from a core product perspective, we do space heating solutions. That's for home and office applications, but of course for commercial applications as well. So a full range of product from direct acting space heating through to off-peak heating, which is, as you know, a low energy, low cost solution from a heat perspective. We also do supporting products such as underfloor electric heating. We do a range of towel rails, plinth heaters. So any domestic space heating solution we have available. But not just that, from Heatstore we also do a range of water heating to complement those space heating products. So that could be under sink unvented water heating solution, and all the way through to commercial applications as well. So we do things like large industrial air curtains, space heaters, all the way through to point of use hand washing. So anything electrically heated from a domestic, from a space heating point of view, from a water heating, through to a good range of commercial products is available through the Heatstore portfolio.
I mean, you mentioned something there, Adam. Point of use heating for hot water. I mean, that was only a thing really that someone used to supply because they couldn't get water out there. Now, actually, it's the viable option for people, isn't it? They're saying,
Absolutely.
That's what I'm going for because I don't want this to be part of the existing system, or actually I want it to work in conjunction with my renewables, and that's what people are saying. So
absolutely,
because it's all electric heating, it's got an element in there somewhere, isn't it? So they're saying, got the PV panels up, I want my new kitchen over there, as you said there, you do the under kitchen units ones.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's running off the renewables, and why not? You'd do it if you could, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, for sure. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, Dan. I think a lot of our products, a lot of our development that we're looking to increase and create for the future, a lot of it's about the renewable sector and how we can support that and take advantage with that industry, because it's a huge part of the market now.
So whereabouts are you guys based?
So we're based down in Bristol.
You're
so
part of the Bristol lot, yeah?
We're part of the Bristol lot, and we've got a team of regional sales guys that are out on the road. We've got 8 working with our facility in Bristol. They're on hand to support our contractors, our customers, CS stores for pretty much all their heating requirements.
And what support is there? So from a contractor point of view, for me and Dave deciding that we don't want wet radiators anymore, what we want is we're going to go with these new fangle dangle things, these space heaters, so we're going to go with them. What support are you going to give us?
Really from start to finish is pretty much the solution that we can offer yourself as an end customer who's looking to change or upgrade their heating systems. So we have, as I mentioned, a team of regional sales guys, so they can come along to your property. They'll come along with our product portfolio. They look at the solution that you're looking for. We'll listen, Dan, really to your requirements. What type of heating system you're looking for? What do you want from it? Obviously, low running costs is very important.
Yeah,
so
that's
lots of customers.
It's got to be a key driver now, isn't it?
Absolutely, with tariffs the way they've been recently. So that's obviously the forefront of everybody's first and initial thought for a new heating solution. But it's not just that. It's the situation that they're in, the environment, what type of family are living there. Is it a family? Is it an elderly couple? So really, as much as selling a product, we're actually out there looking for information to try and glean this from the customer. And then really what we'll do is we'll go away with that information and try and get a bespoke solution just for that customer. So when they leave that customer, they'll get all that detail. They take it back to our internal technical support team, who do a free of charge design service. We use the latest AutoCAD Revit design package.
Oh, do you? Right. That's what I was going to ask. How many people you got sat down there doing that then?
That's great. So we've got 6 people down in Bristol who just continuously support our customers. That could be through bespoke schemes that I've just mentioned there.
Yeah,
but
lovely.
also our hand to answer sort of, technical or queries with some of the products on installation that electrical contractors might need support from.
Magic.
So they're there all, constantly. Just solely their purpose in life is just to support CEF, support their customers, and really help service our product through to our customer base.
When you're doing the surveys, Adam, how much do you take into account the state of the building? Because that, with space heating, it's the movement of the air that's the biggest enemy, isn't it, to getting it warm?
Absolutely. You're quite right, Dave. It's a really good question. So we take a lot of consideration from it. I mean, in principle, we've got 2 different procedures that we can use for that. The first procedure is, broadly speaking, the heat loss of the room, as you mentioned, is really, really important. The fundamentals of heating really is, if you've got a passive room, for argument's sake, and let's just say you were losing no heat and you wanted to get to 21 degrees, you could heat that room to 21 degrees. With no heat loss, you could come back in a period of time, and in principle, your room should still be to 21 degrees. So what we're trying to consider all the time from a heating design perspective is, what's the structure, the fabric of the building, how much heat are we losing through the windows, through the floor, through the walls, through the ceiling, whatever that may be. So broadly speaking, we've got 2 different methodologies we can do that. The first is that we've got some set guidelines that would work too. Is it what we consider a new build, so a relatively new property, perhaps in the last 10 years. For that type of build, we'd probably say as an average, you're looking at about 40% heat loss, 35 to 40% heat loss. If you're looking...
40% in a new build?
Yeah. If you're looking at a traditionally built property, you're looking about 40 to 45, and in an old build, you're looking about a 50% heat loss.
Well, that's me.
That's me.
Yeah.
And me also.
Good day. Yeah.
Obviously, installation is a key factor to help in the running costs. But in principle, what that means is, what we're looking to do is to offer the best solution for that particular environment. So if you've got a customer that's losing 50% of their heat, you've really got to look at the cost effective, the running costs of that product. So in that application, you may say, well, let's go for an off-peak solution, because the energy going into the heater is fundamentally half price. So we're looking to balance that. On the other side of that, if you take that information from our regional sales guys, we can put that into our AutoCAD software package. And furthermore, if there's architectural plans, for example, where we know the actual heat loss of that room down to the U value, we can put that into the software and it will calculate it exactly for that particular environment. So the reason that we do that means that it's absolutely key, Dave, you're bang on, to make sure we put the right solution in for that right application.
Because you could fill it full of heaters and it actually don't do no good at all.
Just blow away.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's interesting you talk about air curtains. I mean, there's nobody ever played with the idea in front of a drafty old window of having a hot air curtain. Could that work?
Absolutely.
It does work.
It could work.
You see, when you go in shops and that lot, they've got this big air curtain. You walk in, and it gets you. That's brilliant. I mean, I've put a few of them in my time, and in one of them I had to upgrade because the doors were open so much. It was a college. This was the doors were open so much. The air curtain wasn't really effective.
Right, yeah.
So what they try and create is sort of an area where you have 2 sets of doors, just to give that a little bit of chance where that heat can start to have an effect, and then open the doors again, so it's not constant cold air that you're chucking into the building. But again, it comes on negative or positive air pressure is something as well. Is that when that door opens, is the hot air going to go out or is the cold air going to come in? So that's something that you have to be aware of as well, and start to look at all these problems when you're getting into it. But these are so some of the solutions that you guys do will be a very simple a panel heater, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what people recognise these things as.
Yeah,
Panel
absolutely.
Heater.
So panel heater, your typical application would be perhaps a price point domestic, if somebody's interested in price, the initial cost of that solution. So that's an entry level, but really very popular for the likes of student accommodation, entry level apartments, commercial applications as well. So we do a complete range of panels, all electronically, digitally controlled.
I was going to ask about the control because that came under Lot 20, didn't it, a few years ago?
Right.
Yeah.
So pre-Lot 20, in principle, you could have just an electric radiator on-off in your house. There's no control at all. But Lot 20 basically gave you a minimum requirement as a manufacturer to make sure your heaters were controllable. They've got a 7-day timer in there. You've got an accurate stat, which is accurate to 0.5 degree accuracy.
Yeah, wasn't this an electronic stat it needed then, didn't it include? Electronic
Absolutely.
on there,
So prior to that, you could have had just a bimetal strip, which was basically, accurate to 2.5, 3 degrees. So,
love them.
So you may want a temperature of 21, but you're actually at 25.
Yeah.
And, from an energy efficiency point of view, obviously, it just didn't work. So
there's also, in terms of heat design, is where you put the thermostat is another key factor, isn't it?
I've just had this. So I got my thermostat. I had to have a new heating system, Adam. The other week, it all went a little bit wrong at Stanleyforth Towers. So I had to get myself a brand new heating system. And they split upstairs and downstairs. So I've got now 2 heating zones. Upstairs, the thermostat for upstairs, I read the instructions and it said to put it at 1.2 metres. So 1.2 metres though, if I'd have put it at that, the sun coming through the window would have hit that thermostat. So I've ignored it and I've put it up at about 1.6. I stuck it there.
Whereas our thermostat was put at the bottom of a stairwell.
Okay.
There's a cold sink.
Which is coming down. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's never, ever, I don't think in its life, got to temperature.
Whereas in the front room, you're stripping off.
I mean, again, it's a really very good question because you're quite right. And I think really that's one of the key benefits of electric heating over a wet system, as you guys are referring to.
Yeah.
That each of our individual products has got its own thermostat built into it.
There you go. Don't have to worry about it.
And, when you look at the running costs of, when people talk about the running costs of electric gas, gas in terms of kilowatt usage is actually a cheaper source of energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no argument with that.
For mass heating, perhaps, on a central heating system.
And Dave, that's exactly the point, which is, usually when they do the calculations using a software called SAP in terms of how much a home costs to run. So, they'll say, right, it's going to be on from, say, 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock, then on at 4 again till 10 in the evening. So they're quite rigid with these sort of the timings that they do the calculations at. Whereas the key benefit with electric, and this has always been our argument, which is the fact that you would never run an electric heating solution in that way. So
no, you wouldn't.
Normally what would happen is you'd say, right, we're in the kitchen before we go to work and the kids are getting up if you've got them, whatever, but we'll have some heat in the kitchen, some heat in the hallway, but perhaps your living room's not on at that point in the morning. It might be a little bit. But then when you come back in the evening, you wouldn't have your bedrooms on probably at all, dare I say it, until perhaps you're ready to go to bed just for an hour or so. So the benefit with electric heating is literally that controllability, that individual control that you can program and adapt to your individual requirements. And if you do that, the reality is you can actually get a lot lower running costs than gas, even though your energy is slightly more expensive.
But I'd imagine
it's not official.
Yeah, it's the overall saving because you're not actually going by a whole system, are you? There's parts of the house that aren't warm, which aren't needed to be warm.
But with a wet system, you're also heating up masses of pipework under the floorboards and everything like that. That's all lost energy.
Absolutely.
But question for you, Adam, what's your thinking about permanent heating versus periodic heating?
Okay, good question.
When I was at the BBC, a friend of mine did an experiment and he ran his heating system low constantly, never turned it off, so the house never got cold.
Yes.
Versus then running it going cold, getting hot, going hot.
So they've got this with elements at the minute. So a lot of people are going over to immersion heaters again because they've got PV panels or whatever. But they're saying their immersion, they're leaving it on but turning the stat down.
Turn it down. So it's
That's
always ticking over.
Constantly, it's constant ticking.
Any theory
Adam,
on that?
over to you.
Over to you.
Right.
Definitive.
Well, we'll try because you're absolutely great question. I see this all the time. Every start of the winter season, it's on the BBC, where you see different cases for both. But I would absolutely categorically state that going back to when we started the conversation about the heat loss of a room, I mean, if you just take that as a consideration. So going back to our scenario where we've got it to 21 degrees worth of heat, and let's just assume for a minute it's an old build and you're losing 50% of that heat per hour. So in a reasonable sized room, you could need say 1.5 kilowatts to get that room to temperature, for argument's sake. So once it's at temperature, you're then replacing half of that. You're losing half of your heat. So in theory, 750 watts every hour is being put back into your room to just maintain that temperature. And you're quite right, it could be a lower temperature selection.
21's a bit high. Yeah,
21 would be like the comfortable temperature.
If you met my wife, she'll have it roasting up, mate. She will.
But in principle, it's that process that you're actually, the calculation is how much heat are you having to replace to maintain your 15, your 12, whatever your background temperature
but that counters against the cost of reheating everything every time you set it on. So
and the other thing as well.
I mean, majority of the heat that we produce is to heat the fabric, isn't it? Not necessarily the air within. Once we get the fabric born, then we get the air inside.
Because then you move into infrared heating, don't you? Which only heats the people, not the actual air. Which doesn't seem to work at all.
That up there in the head doesn't compute that.
We've got that on our village hall and no one believes it. They all sit there in coats.
I think infrared heating, we do it for commercial applications. So if you've got an area, going back where you just cannot, you've got no heat control.
Yeah, you want to heat the operative. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So our application for that at the moment would be if you've got an environment which you just know you can't get to temperature with space heating, infrared's a great solution because, as you say, it'll heat somebody in a packing area or if it's a reception.
Or a smoking shelter.
A smoking shelter, exact application.
Let me sit in a smoking shelter,
for sure. So, see, it's definitely got its applications. For me personally, I would say if you can raise the temperature of that room, you reduce, you're not just warming the fabric as well, but, you're reducing potential mould and damp.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
That's it, yeah.
That's a whole different world of heating, isn't it? Just keeping houses healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at
comfort, that's just
our housing stock in the UK, a lot of them need that general.
Without that, they would get very wet, very mouldy, very nasty,
very quickly, don't they? But now, so we do that, but you also do heating, as you've said earlier on, of your water system. So I could get from you something that would supply a sink. What size systems are these then?
Yes, so we can do, for a sink, 2 options, as Dave mentioned earlier on in your good self. An oversink point of use water heaters, that's a 7 litre, 3 kilowatts, so something as straightforward as that. Typical application would be like a commercial building, perhaps like a CF store, for example, over the wash hand basin, which you can do your pots. But we also do unvented under sink.
Right.
So that would go straight to a fixed tap, so a traditional system that you probably know.
So top of the counter, you wouldn't see anything different, would you? You just see a set of taps.
Exactly.
But under the counter, you're going to see a chamber, aren't you?
Absolutely. So we do those from a 7, 10, 15 and 30 kilowatts. So
30
sorry,
kilowatts.
my apologies. Litre.
30 litre. 30 kilowatts. That's a bit of a beast.
I was going to say,
that'll do your pots.
it costs you a few quid to do it.
Skin off the back of your own.
So we do, so we've got those sizes in terms of water capacity up to 30 litre, which is going to be more than adequate.
Without a doubt, I think,
plenty of hot water.
Yeah, I mean that's a bath, isn't it? That's getting a bath sort of size, isn't it? So there are solutions there. Are you seeing more people asking for these? I mean, we're seeing on the renewable side of things, people are asking us, if I've got PV, can I put the solar panels onto just charging my water?
Yeah.
Surely that lends itself to your sort of stuff, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So you're quite right. So if you look at like a large unvented cylinder, as you say, for a house, which go from 100 to 300 litre, you can get direct solar input into those. So
you can you?
Cylinders which take direct solar input.
Wow, brilliant.
Some of the newer technology, which is what we're looking at, which is more of a water cylinder heat pump. So we're working with a partner just now to develop a product which basically gives you a large cylinder, but it's a heat pump which is built into the top. So as opposed to a heat pump which is providing your space heating, which is plumbed in,
this is clever, isn't it?
it gives you a heat pump which heats your hot water in principle. So that's the
taking the
benefit
heat from the air.
Correct.
Oh, Dave, look at this. So it's got heat sink inside. Oh, that's what you want.
Exactly that. So you've got a heat exchanger built in. It takes the warmth from the air, it compresses it, heats it up, heats a coil, heats that hot water for you. But the key benefit to this solution, and it's something that you mentioned renewables a couple of times, and you're quite right, it's a really key area for us, but we think is the right solution because what that type of product does, With any heat pump, it gives you 170% efficiency, and that's the reason why they're so big in terms of technology. 100%, because you're using 100% efficient electric for your heating, but then you're taking warmth from the air, which is being compressed and heated even more so you're actually naturally taking more heat. So the benefit of that as a combination for your water system, but also space heating that we do, or panel heaters, or IntelliRad, combine those two together, all of a sudden you've got a very strong proposal for your SAP calculations for your EPC, so it gives you a far better gradient. So that's the solution that we're working to. We're a little bit off it, but we've got a partner that we're looking to.
Well, Adam,
so there's been a lot of information there. We need to find out how we get to it.
Well, you can get to this information by attending another CEF series of Tech Talks, because Adam...
Fantastic.
News, hot off the press today, we are going to be delivering Dave and I are going to go around the country delivering another series of Tech Talks, so you can come along to those, and we're going to be talking about the electrification of heat.
Superb.
Which is absolutely lends itself.
And who do you think is going to be our heat consultant, Adam?
Well,
you just passed the audition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You've got the job.
If I was going to be marked, but yeah, brilliant.
So yes, we are going to be talking about this. We've got lots to talk about in the next series of Tech Talks. There's a core agendum to talk about, which is changes to our regulations again and stuff like that. But this is a big bit, because contractors being asked this, no longer do you just leave the heating down to the plumber. It's down to us to consult as part of that big project and come up with a solution. And people are asking for this, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So they're ready for this.
I need it.
Yeah. So
Exciting
Adam,
stuff.
your time has been absolutely superb, invaluable as always. Thank you very much for coming to join us.
Thank you, guys.
From Adam, Dave, and myself, thank you to listening to another CEF Tech Talking podcast. Don't forget, hit the button, which means to subscribe, and then you won't miss out on anything else we've got to talk about, because I think you'll find that these are absolutely fantastic. Did I say award-winning earlier?
Hot stuff.
They are, yeah, they're hot stuff. That's what they are. Thank you very much for listening to another CEF Tech Talking podcast.